You have to find out what is your why. Why do you write? After you find out your why, you have to find out what you want to write. And sometimes that mentor can ask those probing questions that sink deep past your subconscious and resonate in your soul and get you to say, you know, I never thought about that. I never considered that. A mentor can look at you, listen to you, and make observations about you and yourself and your writing that you might be blind to. A mentor's going to tell you what you want to hear, and a mentor's going to tell you what you don't want to hear. Okay? You can choose your mentor, or your mentor can choose you. Either way. But that mentor is a beneficial relationship. And you know what? You don't have to keep the same mentor. Okay? As you change hats, as I like to call it, you can change mentors. They can know about each other, or they don't have to. It's really strictly up to you. But a mentor should be like your right or left hand. Okay? Run things by you. When you're a writer, you can join and you can pay for beta readers. Those individuals who will proof your book and read it and say, man, this is a whack kind of idea. Or this is great. Or there's another book just that same topic. I think this is plagiarism. You know, they can go from whatever perspective. Your mentor can also be your beta reader. Your mentor can help you test the waters. When you don't know something, you can ask your mentor, and your mentor might know that answer or where to get it. That mentor is your resource, okay? Your free resource.
Okay, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. I have a wonderful guest with me who is my first guest of the day today, which is great because I've set the bar so high. My guest is Sandra Hill. Sandra's here with me. We're going to talk about the author journey. We're going to talk about writing for magazines and finding our superpower. There's so many things we're going to talk about today. Sandra, welcome to the podcast. Happy to have you here.
Thank you, Dave, so much. I am thrilled to be here.
As soon as you came on the camera, you just lit up my day. So I feel like I got to catch up to you. So this is going to be so much fun. Let's start off. I like to do this with everyone. Can you tell everybody where you're joining me from today?
Yes, definitely. So I am joining you from USA, a place called Suwanee, Georgia. It's an Indian name, but it's not spelled the same. And for those of you who are familiar with Atlanta, Georgia, Suwanee is about 25 miles north of Atlanta, almost close to the South Carolina border. And no, I am not a native of Georgia, and I'm not even from the South. But this is where I reside at the moment.
What is a must-see thing to do there? What should I do the first day I walk into town?
Well, the first thing you need to do is take a big, deep breath of the fresh air. We moved from Suwanee away from the city, lots of land. We have an acre, we've got a lake, lots of space, and lots of things to do. You can still go to Atlanta, but lots of things to do. We have so many, they call them now live, eat, and play areas, okay? Within a mile radius of my house in every direction, there are 6 assisted living areas. We're one of the fastest, my county is one of the fastest growing areas. And it is very diverse. So that's what you can expect when you come this way.
So what keeps you there? What's the thing that's like, no, I'm staying?
What I just said.
Yeah.
Okay. What I just said. I have an acre. I love to garden, vegetable garden.
Nice.
Which works out great with the prices of everything going sky high. I can look out this window. You can't see it, but I've got geese. If I'm desperate for eggs, I got geese. I've got ducks. I've never will do that. Foxes, deer, coyotes, wolves, and every once in a while, a brown bear that comes through. And of course, the lake is stocked. It's a man-made lake, but it is stocked.
Nice.
Okay. So I can take my grandson down to the end of my property and we can walk and just fish from the shore. My neighbor has a dock. I've got two neighbors with canoes.
Nice.
So, that's what attracted us. We moved here to establish a family. We moved 5 times till we found the right place. 5 consecutive years. Painful.
Wow.
But I've been moving since I was born, but that's what keeps us here. Just the people, the activity, and nature.
It's beautiful. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
I love hearing where people end up in life and what keeps them where they are. That's always
Yes,
something I always be curious about. So
yes. And I
beautiful.
will share with you, if you have to work outside of the county, you're in for a hike, a huge commute. I commuted 2 hours each way every day. My husband commuted in a different direction, 1.5 hours.
Wow.
Okay. And we've been here almost 30 years. So, we weighed our options, commute versus lifestyle,
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, yep.
Beautiful. I love it. It sounds like heaven. That'd be a wonderful place to see. So now it's on
Yes.
my list.
Love
I've
it.
added it to my list. There we go. Just like
Yes. 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 Let me know when you're this way. Got places
I
to
love
stay.
fishing. So maybe we'll
Oh,
check out it
yeah.
too. Yeah. Sweet.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That's great. Okay. Let's talk author journey. I love starting here as well. Can you kind of roll back for us the beginning origin story for you as an author and kind of how you got to where you are? I think we talked about you've been writing for magazines, you've been doing all kinds of different things in your past.
Yeah.
Where does all
Yes.
this start for you as an author?
That is a wonderful question. And it's hard to pinpoint exactly when I had that aha moment because I didn't start out with even writing, being an author, being a published author, being a best-selling author twice over. Right? I didn't start out that way. Real brief, my beginnings were kind of like, I'll use the term damaged goods. I don't like that term, but damaged goods. Basically, being born, parents being told, my mom being told, your child's not going to survive. If they survive past a few months, not going to be able to read, write, talk, walk, blah, blah, blah. You might as well, put them away, give them away, et cetera, et cetera. And my mom didn't claim that, Fast forward. Not only can I walk, talk, I'm running. I'm running races, getting qualified for Junior Olympics. I'm excelling in school. I grew up speaking 4 languages. English was not my first language. My parents being career military. Boom, went right overseas. Birth in the United States, went right overseas. France. So I picked up French and my first school. I went to school at 3 in France. And I was translating for, my parents. And I just picked up one language after the other, after the other. But I was a very shy person. I didn't speak in school for years and, had all these labels placed upon me, which, my mom was trying to explain to a little kid, you got to stand up for yourself. You got to speak for yourself. People think you're this, that, but you're not. My sister and I developed a special language that only we shared and we communicated, and my mom being a nurse, she was going crazy with, what I see at home. Why don't you speak at school? Blah, 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 blah. And it just happened. Okay. But I was very shy. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized I spoke 4 languages, but I always thought and dreamed in French. And the process of trying to convert to English took long. And when you made a mistake, kids laughed at you, they teased you, and I shut down. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that process was happening. Okay. So fast forward, having kids, raising my 2 biological kids and 8 non-biological kids. It was an experience and a journey, but I learned more about myself in the process. And all throughout, I was one of those kids. I hated school, but I could ace a test if I wanted to. Or if I didn't want to take the test, I just wouldn't do it. And I was just very stubborn, very determined, and it got to the point where I could write and I was winning awards and recognition and everything, but still didn't put the pieces together. Okay. And I could speak. Part of when I got a full-time career, I was speaking in front of groups of 1,000 or more people. And being an introvert, I had to prepare myself. My day started at 4 a.m. so I could get myself together. I traveled for work every other week, raising kids, going to activities. I never missed a school activity at all. And just doing all of that. And my bosses knew I could write. I was writing things for them. I was writing things for other people, speeches, talking points, whatever. I still didn't connect the dots. Okay? Didn't connect the dots. And it wasn't until after I retired, I became a coach. Life coach, business coach, career coach. That's another story unto itself. But after I retired, 3 months, I had launched my business. I had written a business plan for a 5-year business plan, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Still didn't connect the dots. I could do all this writing. I was writing, winning awards, writing for magazines, writing as a ghostwriter for other people. Still didn't connect the dots. And do you know what happened? It was one of those, well, obviously you don't because you asked me the question, but it was one of those aha moments. The pandemic hit. Okay. Just before the pandemic hit, let me rewind a little bit. I was diagnosed, with cancer. Okay. Throughout the process, I had total 8 surgeries, but initially, so I was diagnosed, I had to recoup, regroup, and that took time, and I learned more about myself. In the process, I wrote 8 short ebooks just because I was bored out of my mind that I couldn't go outside. I couldn't do all this stuff that I really wanted to do every single day. I had all this cooped up energy. I had to do something with it. So I was writing. I had already written a cookbook for my husband after his mom passed. With all of her recipes and some other family recipes, never published it, and all of that. And I had written some other things, never published, still wasn't connecting the dots. So pandemic hit, I'm going through treatments, yada, yada, yada. And we shut down in the United States, March of 2020. September of 2020, 13 people contacted me in the month of September. All individually. Some of them I did not even know, but they heard about me or they knew someone who knew me. 13 people contacted me. Sandra, I need your help. My parent passed, so-and-so passed, and I promised I would write a book. Sandra, I had to go to therapy. I couldn't take the shutdown. My therapist told me to do a COVID journal, and I want to share with other people. Can you help me? Sandra, I think it's time. I'm trying to learn something new while being shut down, and I want to become an author. All these different people contacted me to help them. And I'm like, where in the world is this coming from? I was a life coach, business coach, career coach, still am, because I help and I mentor middle school through high school and VOTEC. That's what I was doing, volunteering my time. And, my whole theme around coaching, whether it was life, business, or career, was I help those individuals who have those woulda, coulda, shoulda moments. And they need somebody to help them get to their dream, to their end goal, to their desired state. That's me. Okay. That's my overarching pitch that I make when I'm doing sessions, talks, workshops, whatever. So these people heard that and they contacted me. And my mentor, everybody needs a mentor. My mentor said, Sandra, there might be something to it. Why don't you, think about it? Well, I didn't think about it. I'm one of these people. I got to test the waters. You tell me the stove is hot. Let me touch it and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I launched a workshop. 45 people signed up. It was free. I was like, okay, I must be onto something. God must be trying to tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got to knock me upside my head. So one thing led to another. I was doing these workshops. I was ghostwriting and I loved it. I was still doing career coaching, et cetera, et cetera. So actually the culmination of one of these projects, I'm going to hold up this book. So
Oh, I love it. Yes.
it's not about what you do, but who you be. This was not my first book I published. This is the book that came out of one of the workshops. They wanted to write a book. Everybody had a different reason. And 6 people, I ended up being the 6th person because 2 people backed out for a variety of reasons. They wanted to do independent books. But anyway, so it's not about what you do, but who you be. Titles popped into my head all throughout my life, and I would jot things down in notebooks as they would pop in my head, because I knew when I woke up the next day, or whenever, it would just be gone.
Yep.
This was a title that came in my life eons ago. I came up with the cover, designed it myself, recently put together a book trailer, music from Creative Contact, but I picked it out, and it was just one of those things. It spoke more to me than anybody else. It's not about what you do, but who you be.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody had a chapter to write on their theme. It didn't matter if it was poetry, whatever. It just had to be the inspirational, motivational, nonfiction arena. And so you have people writing about their life mishaps and how they overcame. There's one chapter that is a challenge, a 21-day workbook, challenging you and motivating you. Food for thought. There is one chapter about forgiveness. It's all encompassing. So that somewhere in that process, I became a writer. I was already an author. I was already part of book collaborations because as a coach in one of the coaching groups I'm affiliated with, they said, hey, why don't some of you guys write a book? So I raised my hand. I didn't do it once. I did it twice. Published bestseller. Okay. But it still didn't resonate with me. I changed my LinkedIn profile, but it still doesn't resonate with me. I didn't claim it. I didn't own it. Now I claim it. Now I own it. And in the last week, 5 other people have contacted me to help them write a book. Healthcare. And then 2 others have different topics. But it's just been an amazing journey. My theme for my company this year is embrace opportunities. And that's what I ended up doing. I embraced opportunities. Sometimes we don't know exactly our purpose, our life's purpose.
Yep.
We don't know if we're on the right track. Sometimes we hit that midlife crisis, that wall. Sometimes we lose a job, lose a spouse, friend, and we have those pivotal moments, which I call defining moments, and you kind of stop in your tracks and reanalyze, reevaluate.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm one of these fast-paced, energetic people. I know I haven't shut up since you asked me that one question.
I love it. Just keep going.
Things like this have to knock me upside my head, really. And you get that, oh, yeah, that works. And you go with it.
Okay, so I'm going to step away and out of the way for a second. I want you to talk to the audience because there are authors that are listening and they're not sure if they need a mentor in their life. Or they just can do this by themselves. Can you talk to the audience for a second about the power of a mentor and why that's important for an author? I'm going to back out of the way. Now you're talking to them.
I sure can. I will talk to the authors, but this is for people who are not just authors as well.
Excellent.
But specifically because I mentor young kids all the way up. And I have a mentor. I have 2 mentors, actually. Okay. Authors, let me explain or share. Okay. Everybody likes to claim to say, hey, I did it. Okay? What would happen if you had a second or third pair of eyes and ears that could help you along your journey to say, hey, wait a minute. I don't know if the readers will really want to hear it that way. Or have you thought about that same concept, but doing it in another spin? You know, they can be your eyes and ears. So many authors I've heard from a coach perspective, I wrote this book and nobody's reading it. Well, just because it's a good idea for you doesn't mean it's a good idea for the audience. So take a step away and validate. Take your time and validate. Now, everybody has a different why. Why are you writing? Are you writing to teach? This is one of my workshops, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you writing to teach people? Are you writing, like, teach people in the educational realm? So it's going to school or college and they're going to buy the book. Okay. Or are you writing to teach something about a process that is a little known process? Okay. You don't necessarily have an audience existing already. Are you writing for yourself to make yourself feel good? It's something you always wanted to do. Or are you writing for someone else? Okay. Writing for someone else, I will share, does not always work out because you're writing for their values, for their trust, their love, and they could care less. You have to find out what is your why. Why do you write? After you find out your why, you have to find out what you want to write. And sometimes that mentor can ask those probing questions that sink deep past your subconscious and resonate in your soul and get you to say, you know, I never thought about that. I never considered that. A mentor can look at you, listen to you, and make observations about you and yourself and your writing that you might be blind to. A mentor's going to tell you what you want to hear, and a mentor's going to tell you what you don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You can choose your mentor, or your mentor can choose you. Either way. But that mentor is a beneficial relationship. And you know what? You don't have to keep the same mentor. Okay? As you change hats, as I like to call it, you can change mentors. They can know about each other, or they don't have to. It's really strictly up to you. But a mentor should be like your right or left hand. Okay? Run things by you. When you're a writer, you can join and you can pay for beta readers. Those individuals who will proof your book and read it and say, man, this is a whack kind of idea. Or this is great. Or there's another book just that same topic. I think this is plagiarism. You know, they can go from whatever perspective. Your mentor can also be your beta reader. Your mentor can help you test the waters. When you don't know something, you can ask your mentor, and your mentor might know that answer or where to get it. That mentor is your resource. Okay? Your free resource.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it. And there's some accountability there as well.
Yes, definitely. They will definitely hold you accountable, or you can get a separate accountability partner. It's strictly up to you. But if you commit, let's say as an author, you say, you know what, Dave, I am going to write every Monday from 11 to 4. That mentor can check on you and say, Dave, how's your writing going? Yeah. Or they can give you prompts. It's up to you how you have that mentor-mentee relationship. You know, some people want their mentor to give them friendly reminders or give them uplifting messages to start their day. Hey, Dave, you said you're going to write today from 11 to 4. Check in with me or send me what you write. I'll edit it. I'll give you my thought, you know, whatever the case might be. So there's different roles that mentor can have with you.
The one thing when I think about feedback, I think sometimes people ask for feedback, but they're not really looking for feedback. They're looking for approval.
Mm-hmm.
like they don't really want to be challenged as far as how they can improve. They just want somebody to say, yeah, your book's great, or your podcast is great, or your song is awesome. But don't really tell me how you really feel. Like, don't tell me how
Yeah.
I can improve it. Just tell me I'm
Right.
doing a good job.
Right.
But I think
Right.
that's an element that makes us all better, is allowing people to speak words of life into our creation to make it better.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And with individuals like that, I tell them the term feedback might be a turnoff for you. So choose another term.
Hmm.
When I mentor people, I tell them the 411 about me. And most mentors do that eventually. I tell them, if you don't want me to give you direct feedback, if you don't want me to take out my red pen and mark away, you don't want me as a mentor.
Hmm.
If you don't want me bugging you, you don't want me as a mentor. That I tell people that. I have
Yeah.
a list of things I just mentally roll off and tell people that's who I am.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, this is what I tell them. And then I'll say, we have to agree to that. Okay. And then for those individuals who say no, it's all good. No hard feelings. Maybe they want another kind of mentorship. And you can just say, okay, that's fine, but I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. If you need me to proof, if that's a hat you wear, if you need me to edit, if you need me to help market, because a lot of times authors write and then they think the work will sell itself.
Yeah.
The work begins as you are writing. Work begins as you are writing. You can pre-market your book. You can, be talking it up. So when it hits, it launches. You can do a virtual book launch, in-person book launch, however you want to do it. You can put it in the news media. It really depends on what type of book it is, but you can keep on going and then you can market it instead of spending thousands of dollars on advertisement or a marketing company or new website or, whatever the case might be. I am a program managed background. I have a program manager, analytical type background. So I'm a planner. Okay. So as I work with people, and I know everybody's not a planner. So as I work with people, we do a timeline. Do you want this book out by a specific time? If yes, we back it up.
Yeah.
And I say, this is the window for putting your ideas together. Of course, it depends on the genre. This is when this happens. This is when this. And I put on my program manager hat when I'm wearing my book writing coach hat and say, okay, this is where we should be. Where are we today? How do we get from A to Z? Everybody doesn't write in a linear fashion.
True.
And that is okay. Everybody's thoughts are not linear. So there are different apps. We're in the age of technology. There are different apps that can help people with planning and putting things together. Or they can do it the old-fashioned way is you take a notebook with dividers and you write in different sections and rip out the pages and put things together. Because sometimes you write the middle before you do the beginning and the end. It really doesn't matter. Or you write it thinking it's linear and you say, no, it shouldn't be. And you switch things around. It's kind of like storybooking.
Yeah. I had an author on a week ago and they said chapter 1 was the hardest because they were writing in sections like you're talking about, but to go back to chapter 1 and make it all make sense is where they got stuck.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That was tough for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Star Wars was written backwards. Deliberately.
Yeah.
But that's a prime. Everybody kind of relates to that. Star Wars, So you sometimes have to switch things around.
Okay. I like it. So this is a good spot while we're talking about, can you tell people about, like I have your website up as we're chatting. Can you tell everybody about your website and kind of what people will find when they come there?
Okay.
Because I think it seems like it'd be a good spot just to kind of send people there while we're talking as well.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So first of all, most people don't go by to my website, believe it or not, but that is okay. So my business name is New Horizen, and Horizon is spelled with the word Z-E-N, not Z-O-N. New Horizon Coaching and Professional Growth Advancement. It's a three-pronged company. Okay, that's another issue altogether. So if you go to https:// you have to put that and the www.newhorizoncoaching.com. That is my website.
Yeah.
Okay, now you'll find a little bit about me. New Horizon, that part, I'm a life, business, and career coach. I deal with the woulda, coulda, shoulda moments in your life, your business, or your career. My book writing coach services fall under life coaching. Initially, when I started life coaching, I was coaching before I knew I was coaching. Those of you who have kids, one day they're little kids, and the next thing you know, they're preteens and they're teenagers. For me, my husband said, "What happened to our daughter, who was our oldest? She wasn't like this yesterday. Da, 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 da. You've got to do something. You're her mom. Fix it."
Yes.
Okay. So I have two biological, eight non-biological. So I call them my play kids because they were always around. And I did what I thought any parent would do. And next child came along, and then all these others. And then my son started loaning me out. "Mom, seriously, Mom, so-and-so is having problems with his dad. Mom, so-and-so's dad lost his job and he's taking it out on the family." And that was the aha moment for that. I was like, wait a minute, who am I? You know? I was like, what do you expect me to do? He says, do what you do. That's what my son said. Do what you do. And I always volunteered, was always at the kids' activities, sports, church, whatever. And people would come up to me. "I hear you help so-and-so. Can you help my daughter? She stopped talking to me. My son has been sulky." Blah, 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 blah. People I didn't know started coming up to me. And I helped everybody. I was at the school volunteering like I usually do. And when my last one graduated, they said, "See you next year." And I said, "No, I'm a parent." They said, "What?" I mean, I had been up here for all these kids and everything, doing the mentoring, the teaching, the whatever, correcting teachers, correcting advisors. They thought I was on their payroll because I had a name tag and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I'm just a parent. You know, this is the last one. See ya." And they were like, "You've got to come back.
No.
What are we going to do without you?" But it was an experience. So I started out life coaching, helping kids transition through their stages of adolescence. Then it morphed into going from middle school to high school to college, Votech. I had a teacher come and say, "You've got to come to my classroom once a month." And I did that, volunteer, helping the kids gain confidence. I told you earlier, I lived in a culturally diverse area. So there were people whose second language was English. They were going through what I was going through.
Yeah.
One of the awards I won was for translating, because I started, I grew up overseas primarily. I can go to a country and stay there for a little, and next thing I know, I'm speaking the language. I come back to the United States, I can't remember a thing. But and really, short story, I was chaperoning my son's soccer trip to Chile. And people thought I lived there and were asking me for Americans and other. They would take out this book, and they would say certain things, and I said, "I'm American, I speak English." "Really? No." And they would ask for directions, and I would ask for directions in Spanish, different Spanish from what they speak in the United States. But I got it. My daughter is fluent in Spanish, and I was practicing with her over the phone. And because I hadn't spoken Spanish in a while, I thought, oh, wow, I'm going to be there for a week. I got to get some certain things down pat. Dave, I tell you, it was like old hat. I don't know how I did what I did, but I was answering people, giving directions, and my son was like, "Who is this lady?" I'm just like,
Mm,
and it was just like that. So I could relate to the kids as they were transitioning
nice. Nice.
and being shy and not knowing the right words. I could relate to them. So that's how the life coaching morphed. And then with the business coaching, people were changing from their 9 to 5 to being an entrepreneur or vice versa. And because I have that program management background, they were asking me just for my opinions at first. And then one thing led to another. Career coaching, I started, I was in leadership for 20 something years. And I was helping people review paperwork. I was giving them practice interviews. I was doing all kinds of things to help people advance their career. So myself and a couple of other people, we put together what we called a career coaching program. I grew up, I wrote scripts for skits, had my employees, role play. And it took a couple years, but I convinced the upper leadership to fund the program. And I started coaching several hundred, I can't even remember. There was several hundred managers, aspiring managers, leaders, and executives in their career. Had a 98% success rate.
Wow.
That entire time. The 2% was due to folks who just didn't follow my instructions. And then later on, they came back to me and I said, "Can I use you as an example?" And they said, "Sure." And, they followed the course and everything that I was doing, and they went on to bigger and better things. But they just didn't want to put in the time and effort. And that's what it takes sometimes. When you're on to something, you have to put in the time and the effort. And I've been talking so long, I forgot what your initial question was. but so going through the coaching process, I became a coach. And as I became a coach, I said, this is what coaching is. So I honed my craft. I took the time, I used my own money to train and teach myself to up my skills so I could be beneficial. And it wasn't until someone said, "Why aren't you charging for this?" I was doing everything for free.
Yeah.
For years, 15 years maybe, for a long time. And I said, because I love it.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided whenever I retire, my next chapter, as some people like to say, is going to be a coaching service. So the new Horizen is that new chapter. People thought I was crazy. You haven't even retired. 3 months after you retired, you've got your business cards. I have my business plan. I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I was like on a roll, and I had my first client in month 2. I didn't give up on my dream. I knew I found my passion.
Yeah.
I found my passion. So I've got that. So I started out, my old company hired me back. I still work for them. Okay. I do their workshops. I do their training, on a resume writing interview. I do career talks and workshops, blah, blah, blah. Still do it from this day. So, it was I guess because I am more introverted, I tried harder to make those connections.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. I would say, okay, today I'm going to meet 3 new people if it kills me. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I would just give myself those type of parameters. Okay. And then just let everything else, happen. I didn't bug people. I didn't call, "Hey, what about that?" That's just not me. I have people who contact me years later. So New Horizen coaching, I do the coaching service and professional growth advancement from middle school forward. If you want job changes, those woulda, coulda, shoulda moments.
Yep.
Doggone it. I lost my job. Well, maybe this is an opportunity for you to go after what you wanted.
Yeah.
My parents always wanted me to be an accountant. I say that like that because my dad's side of the family, the all boys, mostly boys. They took over, they did what the father did. Okay. My dad was an officer in the military. He said, you're not going in the military. Okay. But my mom said, you're going to be an accountant. Dave, hey, I can do accounting till the sun comes home. I got great grades in accounting. I went as a financial. I wanted to be a financial planner, but I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college because in cultural thing, girls were not expected to go to college, just the guys. Okay. I'm the oldest. So I didn't know. We were moving. I moved till I was a junior in high school. And you're applying for place. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know squat. So when it came time to apply, I was way behind the 8 ball. So I applied to Princeton and got in. Okay. Why did I apply to Princeton? Simply because it was in New Jersey and I was born in New Jersey and never been in New Jersey and I wanted to do something in New Jersey. Duh. It made sense to me. My parents were livid.
Yeah.
You are not going to Princeton. Girls don't go to college. You need to get a job and work till you get married, da, 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 da. And you'll be living at the house, blah, 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 blah. Defiant me. I'm the capital R rebellious. I told my siblings, this is what you got to watch out for. I said, okay, I'm going to college. I applied to the local community college, bought myself a car, probably with the highest interest rate there was, but it lasted for 15 years because I took very good care of it. I worked 3 jobs, day and night, to put myself through college to graduate on time.
Wow.
Okay? Because I was determined. Now, I didn't know what I didn't know. I knew I didn't want to be an accountant. My mom signed me up for the CPA exam, got me the CPA books. Okay?
Yep.
The day of the exam, you know what I did?
You didn't show up for the test?
I didn't even put my name on the paper.
Wow.
I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You cannot control who I am. Okay? All right. We won't talk about the consequences of that, but I made a point. Okay? I was like, hey, if I got to be on my own, I'm going to be on my own. Didn't know this growing up. But a friend of mine who was running the career counseling center at the college I was attending pulled me aside and said, this is what you need to do to get a job. This is how you do interviews. This is how you do paperwork. Because I was making mistakes. Okay. And he saw it. So I took that knowledge, refined it, and I have been through my coaching service, sharing that with middle schoolers. Don't wait till you're in high school. Sharing it with middle schoolers, what to do to prepare, and planning and helping parents plan, et cetera, et cetera. So I took those skills and refined it. So that's the professional services. That's all of that stuff. Okay. And then the career advancement kind of explains itself. So it's 3-pronged.
The one thing that we talked about in our pre-chat before we recorded was, I think you had mentioned that you had something that you would like to offer to the audience.
Yes.
Which will take them back to the website. Can we talk about that for a moment? Because I'm
Yes.
curious.
I hadn't forgotten about the website, but that's a 3-pronged approach. I also do podcasts. Grow your voice, overcome your fears.
There you go.
Okay. That is the podcast. The title comes from me, how I grew my voice and overcame my fears. Okay. And there's a contact form on the site if you want to be a guest, want to work with me, because I'm offering some workshops, writing workshops and other workshops. I've got 3 workshops coming up. One workshop is on, and that's not on the website, but you can contact me and I'll give you more details, or you can send me an email, which I'll share momentarily. Yep. There's one workshop called Let's Finish, for those individuals who start something and don't finish it.
Good.
Okay.
Yep.
Then there's a workshop called Character Development. So many people want to write a book, a novel or a novelette, okay, or a series. How you do that the right way. And then how to write your bio. So many people write a bio, but they don't understand you need a bio for work, you need a bio for your book, you need a bio for this, and then your resume is a whole different type of bio. Mm-hmm. And how to write specifics. Then I'll do webinars. The webinars about why do you want to write, how to write short novels called novellas to get to that big novel, how to create an anthology, a book. There are a lot of poets out there and they don't know how to. Sometimes I get calls, can you help me group these poems into different sections so I can create an anthology? So I've got that coming up. And how to do memoirs. People don't write about everything. Pick a section and you write. How to write memoirs. And then I've got what I call writing intensives. If individuals want to write, like this one group did, write a book, I've got 4 collaborations coming up. So the freebie is you get an hour's worth of my time free consulting on anything you want under the sun. Okay. Yes. You can go to the website to the contact form, send it to me, or you can email me, and the contact forms go to a separate mailbox, just so you know. Coach Hill, my Coach Hill mailbox. But you can also email me if you have a question or you want to utilize this service. And this is the catcher before I give out this email address. You must reference this podcast. You must reference this podcast.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So my email, S for my name, Sandra, S Hill, Hill. C is in cat, P is in Paul, L is in lion, C as in cat. Certified Professional Life Coach. That's what that stands for. So S Hill, CPLC @gmail.com. Okay. So that's the freebie offer.
Nice.
Okay. And you don't have to be very specific, but you do have to tell me, because I get spammed, guys. So you do have to tell me your name and how to contact you. Okay.
Yeah. I
get spammed, like a lot of us get spammed, with these off the wall messages. You know, no, I had one, they were trying to get a date. Really? Okay.
Oh, and then there's the one, that guy, Dave, who wanted you on his podcast. That was spam. That's spam right there.
No. But you know, I got to know who you are. You got to be a real person. Don't do these bots. There are so many bots out there, AI, artificial intelligence. You know, they write emails, you know? So just know that. Okay. I will check to make sure you are a real person. I will check to make sure if you send me an email that the email is a legitimate email. Okay. That's just who I am. That's who I am.
I love it. That's awesome, Sandra. We'll put all that information in the show notes as well. If somebody's on the treadmill at the gym right now and they don't have a chance to write, they can go click a link and go right to you, right from the show notes. So that's great.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Think of a recipe, okay, as a framework for my question. What do you think a good author needs to have as recipe ingredients to be successful as an author? What kind of things would you throw into that recipe? Some traits, some characteristics. What kind of things makes an author successful?
Okay, we're going to call this author soup.
Okay, let's go. My last name's Campbell, so we're good with this. Campbell soup.
That's great.
Campbell soup. Good. Let's go.
Oh, guys, this was not planned. This was not planned. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay, author soup. First thing, you have to be willing to write.
Yep.
Okay? If for some reason you aren't willing to write, you have to be willing to talk or type. And here's why I say this. As a ghostwriter, I write for other people who don't feel comfortable for whatever reason writing. Mm-hmm. Okay? It might be from a disability or a confidence level. There are lots of apps out there that some people use, and that's okay. All right. But you have to be willing to put in the effort. Example, Sandra, I want to write a book on crime. Got to put in the information, the who, what, when, where, how, and what, that type of thing. So you either dictate it, whatever. So you've got to be willing, and you got to know your why. Mm-hmm. Okay. That helps with the motivation. Okay. In this soup, you're going to have, I'm going through the traits first for you, for an individual who wants to write. If you're in the writing world to make lots of money, okay, don't be. Everybody's not going to be a Stephen King or Edgar Allan Poe or, something like that. You can have aspirations, but don't think you're going to go from here to way up real quick. Yeah. You have to have patience. You have to have patience. Writing is a process. If you're going with a traditional publisher, you've really got to have tons of patience because you're going to have to write to literary agents to get to a publisher. And they have open seasons. They only take so many people. And you might get 50 no's before you get that one yes. Yep. Okay? It is a process. Capital P with patience. Okay? Mm-hmm. You also have to be, I don't know if the word is tenacious, but you got to have some kind of spirit. You can't let that first negative, review, negative comment just deter you from writing and you shut down. Okay? Tenacious, backbone, some kind of spirit, whatever. Okay? Good. And then as far as additional content that's going to go into this author soup, don't be hung up. I'm trying to see how to say this the other way. I want to say don't be hung up on getting it perfect. Right. Okay. Off the top of my head, I can't think of how to reverse it into a positive way of saying it. Okay. You expect the first draft to be okay. The second draft, even when you publish it, it might be okay, but you can do a revision. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. But it can still be good. It can be even great. Yeah. Accept feedback, comments, get it reviewed, professionally edited. Yes. Don't rely on yourself. It can be a mentor, a beta reader. Have other people involved, okay? If you think someone is going to steal your thunder, you can copyright or trademark. I mean, those are also processes. Don't be cheap, but don't spend all the money you have on your book before you even get it published. Smart. Okay? Yep. There are different ways I probably could say that, but that's the genesis. That's my thought behind that. Additionally, for a writer, one of the things you need to be mindful of is your inspiration. Mm-hmm. Okay? I say that because it goes back to something I said earlier. If you're writing for someone else, that should not be your inspiration. Okay? You've got to have a purpose. You've got to write for you. You've got to have a goal or mission to get you to that next step. All right? And then you got to stir the pot, mix and match. Mix and match. For example, you might think you want to write romance books. Okay? But when you look at the end product, it's not really romantic. Okay? Yeah. Don't lock yourself. Don't be pigeonholed. It is okay to cross over genres. So if you want to say I'm a romance writer, but you end up being a sci-fi writer, why don't you create and say I'm a science fiction romantic writer? There's no set category. Yeah. Don't lock yourself in a box. Nice. Be creative. Let your imagination flow. Unless, of course, you're writing a memoir. If you're writing a memoir, always get the permission of other people you're putting in that memoir. So they don't get the book and say, you're writing about me. I don't like that. That's slanderous, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Or put a trigger warning or put some kind of disclaimer. The names have been changed to protect the innocent, something along those lines. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You just have to be careful and mix well, review, mix well again, and review. Okay. Sometimes you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So test the waters. Test the waters. Mm-hmm. If you have a book title that you're hung up on, Google it to make sure somebody else doesn't have it.
Yep.
Okay. Just due diligence type of thing. Because that will be a hiccup if you were going the traditional route. And it'll be a major hiccup if you're going to Amazon, because Amazon will mix and match the information from the two books. Okay? Yeah. Lesson learned the hard way. I did not know there was another Sandra Hill who was a romance writer.
Wow.
Okay? Now, I could have chosen an alias, and that's also, you can choose an alias and get that copyrighted or trademark. But I didn't want to choose an alias. I always told my husband, golly, my maiden name was long. I was like, I got this basic name now. Okay. And I thought putting my middle initial in would separate the two. So one of the books, when I put it on Amazon, they had my picture with the other person's bio.
Wow.
So I got it fixed.
Yeah.
On Goodreads, I got it fixed, things like that. So those are things you have to be mindful of. Are you going to use your name? Find out how many other people are using the name. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you want to use your initials? Or do you want to use an alias? Because there is so much gender mismatch these days.
Yep.
Okay. Some females are claiming male names because they feel that'll get them ahead of the game.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's allowable in the writing world. It's allowable. It's been happening since way back when. You had females using men's names just because, it was frowned upon. For the females to be writing a certain genre.
Wow.
Yeah. So those would be the basics in the author's Campbell soup.
I love it. I love it. So now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I want to write. Yes. There you go. How's that?
And there's some other things you can sprinkle in, to make it your own, but that's the basic.
So I have listeners around the world, Sandra. I have listeners in France. Okay. So I don't know if you just want to give them a quick hello greeting. I think that would probably excite them to hear you speak to them directly. I have no idea what you would say to them, but they're listening to us right now. And for you to flip the switch and now start speaking to them, if you want to, I'd love to give you the opportunity to say hello.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what to say outside of bonjour. I don't even know what time of day or night it might be.
Nice.
But, hey, to my French brethren and sisterin, is that a word?
That's right, sure.
A word.
Yeah.
My humble beginnings were in France, Orléans, France.
Beautiful.
Orléans, France. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yes, that's where I first started going to school. I will never forget. No indoor plumbing. You had to go outside. It was a Catholic school. And the nuns had the umbrella. That's what I'll never forget. And I was always getting my knuckles wrapped by the nuns. I remember the big, tall habits. Always getting my knuckles wrapped.
Come on.
Speak French.
I love it.
Then I go to the United States. Speak English.
Speak English. How are the knuckles? They good?
Oh,
They're
my
fine, right?
knuckles are great. Yeah,
They're good. Okay.
my knuckles are great. Yeah,
Is that
they're
part of
great.
your
But yeah,
coaching at all? Do you do that to people now when they come to your coaching?
no, I
No.
don't.
No.
I
Okay, good.
don't.
All right.
I don't. But that was funny. That was funny. Yeah,
Awesome.
those were my memories. Yes, yes.
Beautiful.
And the food, walking up and down the street. Yeah, my mom had the streets were narrow, and the small cars,
Yeah.
Peugeots and everything, they were very small. And the baby carriages and the cobbled streets. It was nice. It
Nice.
was nice. Yeah, it
And
was
some
nice.
history too, right?
Yes, very, very much history. And then from there to different parts of Germany. That's where I first got bombed, experienced bombing in Germany. Come to the United States for a year, get bombed there, and then come back overseas. So I'm just like,
Wow.
yes. Oh, I could tell you some stories.
Come on, there's only such a we could have like a whole week of podcast with you. This would be great.
I could tell you some stories. Some of this is intertwined in some of my writings.
I love it.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so Sandra, we're going to send everyone to the website. We've talked about it. We're going to send them with the code, to send you an email to talk about living the next chapter and put that in there so that you know that listeners are coming from here, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I just thought of something else. Writer's block.
Yes.
It's not real. I have a workshop on it. So those individuals, you can talk to me about writer's block and I'll give them tips on how to overcome writer's block.
You have everything you need right here in one place, everyone. You have it all.
One shop does it all. One
Come
shop
on.
does it all. That's why I was trying to do the all-encompassing. And my company name, New Horizen Coaching and Professional Growth Advancement. We have a saying, a mantra. Nothing is impossible. Absolutely nothing. Nothing is impossible. I add that on at the end of my podcast as well. Nothing is impossible. Because if you write that word impossible, put that apostrophe between the I and the M, what do you get? I'm possible. You're possible. And that's what I try to teach my clients. You can do whatever you set your mind to do. But you just got to set your mind to do it. You got to commit. Got to claim it. You got to claim it and commit.
If you need more Sandra after this episode, head over to her podcast. Like, review, share, follow along.
Exactly. Yes.
Subscribe, do all of the things.
Yes.
And make sure you share it with a friend because you will get some amazing content from our new friend and inspiration. Sandra, thank you so much for being part of the podcast. It's so great to have you on. I
enjoyed every minute.
Let's keep this conversation going, okay?
Will do. Will do.
Thank you for subscribing and following. And you're listening this far in the podcast, so you are my best friend. I'm sorry, but you are now my best friend. So welcome. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. LivingTheNextChapter.com has a link on the website to our Facebook group. Are you on Facebook? Probably. You can go there and you can actually interact with our guests. You can talk to them. You can hear more about their journey, about their books. You can speak to them directly. You don't need me. You can come right over to LivingTheNextChapter.com, click on our Facebook link to our community. You can talk to other listeners of the podcast from around the world who are on Facebook. And, again, speak with our guests. Don't you want to speak to the guests you just heard from? Yeah, you can do that on Living the Next Chapter. Go over there. There's links to our Facebook group, and you're welcome to join. Thanks for listening.